In today's video, I am going to teach you how to calculate the coefficient of variation in Excel. We will calculate the coefficient of variation using a small range of values in Excel. In this example, the data is located in cells B2 through B4. The coefficient of variation, often called CV, is a way to compare the amount of variation in a dataset relative to its average. In Excel, we can calculate it by first finding the sample standard deviation, then finding the average mean, and finally dividing the standard deviation by the mean. To begin, click cell B5. This is where we will calculate the sample standard deviation for the values in cells B2 through B4. The standard deviation tells us how spread out the values are from the average. Since we are using a sample calculation here, we will use the sample standard deviation formula in Excel. With cell B5 selected, type equals stdev.s, then open parentheses, B2:B4 and close parentheses. The full formula should look like this, equals stdev, s open parentheses, B2:B4, close parentheses. After you have typed the formula, press enter on your keyboard. Excel will now calculate the sample standard deviation for the numbers in that range and display the result in cell B5. Now that the standard deviation is calculated, the next part of the coefficient of variation formula is the mean, or average. We need the average so Excel can compare the spread of the values to the central value of the dataset. Click cell B6. This cell will hold the average mean for the same range of values, B2 through B4. Keeping these calculations in nearby cells makes the worksheet easier to understand, especially if you need to review or update the formulas later. With cell B6 selected, type equals average, then open parentheses, B2:B4, and close parentheses. The full formula should look like this, equals average, open parentheses, B2:B4, close parentheses. When the formula is entered, press enter on your keyboard. Excel will calculate the average of the values in cells B2 through B4, and show the result in cell B6. At this point, you have both parts needed for the coefficient of variation. Cell B5 contains the sample standard deviation, and cell B6 contains the average mean. The coefficient of variation is calculated by dividing the standard deviation by the mean. Click cell B7. This is where we will calculate the coefficient of variation itself. Using a separate cell for the final result keeps the calculation clear and makes it easy to format the result as a percentage afterward. With cell B7 selected, type equals B5 divided by B6. The formula should look like this, equals B5/B6. After typing the formula, press enter on your keyboard. Excel will divide the sample standard deviation by the average mean and display the coefficient of variation in cell B7. The result may appear as a decimal at first. That is normal, because the coefficient of variation is often expressed as a percentage. For example, a decimal value can be converted into a percentage format so it is easier to read and interpret. Click cell B7 again to make sure the coefficient of variation result is selected. This is important because the formatting change should be applied only to the cell containing the CV result. Next, click the Home tab on the top ribbon. The Home tab contains many of the most common formatting options in Excel, including number formats, alignment tools, and font controls. In the number group, click the % style button. This button is shown with a % sign. Once you click it, Excel will format the value in cell B7 as a percentage. Now the coefficient of variation is displayed in a more readable form. That covers everything you need to know. You have calculated the sample standard deviation, calculated the average mean, divided the two values to find the coefficient of variation, and formatted the final result as a percentage in Excel.